What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. We are going to take a look at a segment from the Victoria Derbyshire programme that is talking to Caroline Pucas, sorry I meant Lucas, the Green Party MP who wants to form an all-female cabinet to step in and prevent a no-deal Brexit if Boris Johnson loses a no-confidence vote. Her proposed female cabinet would consist of the likes of Emily Thornberry, Swinson, Nicola Sturgeon and Anna Soubry, among others. As you all expected, it's a 100% Remainer biased cabinet that is pushing the 2019 idea of gender equality. So no men at all, and something else we will get into later. Let's check it out.
Next, we need an emergency cabinet, not to fight a Brexit war, but to work for reconciliation. And I believe this should be a cabinet of women. Those are the words of the Green Party MP, Caroline Lucas, who's invited 10 female politicians from all parties to join her in forming an emergency cabinet to stop a no-deal Brexit. Included in the women she's invited are the Shadow Foreign Secretary, Emily Thornberry. You can see her there on the top left, Liberal Democrat leader Jo Swinson, Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, Conservative MP Justine Greening, the SNP's Kirsty Blackman, Liz Saville-Roberts of Plaid Cymru, Change UK's Anna Soubry and the Independent MP Heidi Allen, formerly a Conservative. Now, her cabinet of women would step in were Boris Johnson to lose a vote of no confidence in order to stop a no-deal Brexit.
I am deeply, deeply concerned about the prospects of a no deal. I think it would be a disaster for the country, not just economically, but I think in terms of our standing in the world, in terms of our influence on the global stage, in terms of our security, in terms of our environment. So it seems to me that this is a really, really damaging prospect and is one that is entirely unnecessary if we were able to get out of our tribal bunkers and really think with some fresh thinking here. And that's what my proposal is about.
Which involves only women. And you say in your open letter to these high-profile women, I believe women have shown they can bring a different perspective to crises, are able to reach out to those they disagree with and cooperate to find solutions. Swap the word women for men, and you would say that was sexist.
I'm talking about my own experience, and I appreciate it's a generalisation, but in my experience, I have found that women have generally been more able to put aside tribal concerns and to build trust more quickly.
Not only all women, all white women, and all white women who voted Remain. How could that be a government of national unity?
Let me address the issue of white women first of all, because that is a real concern. But I want to explain that the reason that this group of women came together in my mind was not because there's some kind of dream cabinet that I have huge amounts in common with, but simply because they are the leaders or deputy leaders of their parties at Westminster. So that's how that leads us to Liz Saville-Roberts, for example, the leader of Plaid Cymru, Jo Swinson, leader of Lib Dems, Kirsty Blackman, who's the deputy leader of SNP. They all happen to be white. Now, I wish it were not the case. And certainly we would want to open this up as soon as possible to more women, more diversity. That would certainly be my dream. But what I'm doing is trying to look at a practical way of breaking the logjam. And it seems to me that by approaching those women who are in the most senior positions in parties across Westminster gives us the best chance of being able to do that.
OK, and I just want to make this point to you because it is a big issue for our audience in particular. You say a no-deal Brexit is a disaster which will hit women hardest. Some of the women you've written to help you block a no-deal Brexit voted time and time and time after time for cuts in the coalition government, which affected some of the most vulnerable in our society, including women, including people with disabilities.
I'm acutely aware of that, and I stress again, this is not some kind of dream cabinet of the women with whom I have most in common. It is a grouping of women who are the most senior, either leaders or deputy leaders in their parties, who have the potential to bring their parties with them. Because the point is, if I can just say, I would be, delighted to support Jeremy Corbyn if he tried to bring about a vote of no confidence and to set up a temporary government. But you know what? The Lib Dems have already said that they wouldn't support him. He has already indicated that he's not interested at the minute in terms of working cross-party. If we stay in our tribal bunkers, we're not going to make any progress at all. So this is admittedly an ambitious proposal, but one that I hope might have the potential to break that logjam, because if we stay in our tribal bunkers, we're not going to make any difference at all.
And would you need to, let's talk about how it would work, if it could work, would you need to command the confidence of the House of Commons, or would you just turn up at number 10 and
yes, you would.
Take over?
is an attractive prospect, the latter one, but I don't think that would work. No, I think clearly what we're talking about here is in the 14 days that would follow a vote of no confidence. If people knew at the point when they were supporting a vote of no confidence that in those 14 days it would lead not to a Labour government headed by Corbyn, as I say, I would be personally happy to support that, but we know that there isn't a majority for that in the House. If instead it would lead to a group of women coming together to identify who best could form a cross-party government, then I think that would have the better chance on a short-term basis simply to deliver, as I say, a vote of the people on Brexit and how to avoid the no-deal Brexit that faces us right now.
And who would lead it?
That would be for the women around the table to discuss and debate, but I would imagine it would be someone from one of the larger parties. I'm not suggesting that I would lead that government.
OK, so potentially Emily Thornberry, Shadow Foreign Secretary.
Well, surprise, surprise, Caroline wastes no time calling Brexit a disaster and a damaging prospect that is unnecessary, claiming we need to get out of our tribal bunkers, while she sits there tribally trying to stop a no-deal Brexit with a tribe of Remoaners. That's a tribal group of only women. You literally could not get more tribal than that, you undemocratic spunk trumpet. I mean, really, to put forward names like Anna Soubry, Swinson and the undemocratic loser Nicola Sturgeon for an emergency cabinet that is not tribal has to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The cabinet is full of some of the most contemptible people in politics right now, who are universally despised outside of their Twitter echo chambers because they openly admit they will wipe their gonorrhea-infested gammon hangers with the democratic wishes of the British public. It's such an obvious load of bollocks you should be laughed out of politics for it. Not to mention I'm sure that would break the law, namely the Equality Act of 2010, as you are excluding people from these jobs because they have meat and two veg swinging between their legs. I call that literally the definition of sexism. And let's think back to the list of her MPs for this cabinet. All of them are white, so it's not just men that are excluded, but anyone who was not white was clearly not invited to her supposedly untribal cabinet, regardless of gender. If Boris Johnson come out with this sort of shit and made an all-white male cabinet, you would be screaming from the fucking rooftops about how he's a misogynistic racist that wants to oppress women and minority groups. The hypocrisy of this bitch is unreal. Even the commie cumbucket venereal disease points out if men said this, they would be called sexist, which Caroline completely ignores when questioned on, and spouts some shit about women being better because she said so. Fuck off, you dopey bint. What you're saying is sexist, and if it was on the other foot you would be up in arms like a butthurt little snowflake about it. Victoria Derbyshire literally points out every tribal trait that features in her emergency government of national unity, which she tries to explain the reason it's all white is because they are deputy leaders of their parties. So not because they're the best for the country, just because they happen to be the deputy leaders of parties that stand no chance of getting in government. She completely ignores every other point made about her sexist government. She just wants more women and then will open it up to other minorities. Does she think women from a minority group are not good enough for the top jobs then? Only these white women who happen to be leading their parties, likely because of gender equality bullshit, not because they're the best for the job. VD then asked Caroline about the ridiculous claim a no-deal Brexit will hit women harder than men for some reason, when a lot of the cumbuckets she wants to run the country helped put the austerity measures in place that affected women so much. She don't care about that now though, does she? She's terrified there is nothing she can do to stop a no-deal Brexit from happening. This is a desperate bid even I did not expect. This ridiculous pact won't get nowhere though. It should be called out for the discriminatory bullshit that it is. It should not even be promoted on TV if you ask me. Where is the Electoral Commission at? They were so quick to hound Darren Grimes for years, wasting £500,000 on a failed bid to fine him 20 grand. Surely breaking the law is something the Electoral Commission should be all over. Obviously not though, they're a Remoaner biased piece of shit also. She thinks in the 14 days after a no confidence vote, they would seek the confidence of the House, which I think is never going to happen personally. The House will laugh at any proposal that features an SNP leader who wants to break up the UK. No one wants to work with them scumbags. I mean, she don't even know who will lead it. So this is just complete bullshit, but VD thinks maybe Emily Thornberry? Can't see Corbyn going along with all that though, can you? Let's check out the next clip.
Now, you said on Twitter you couldn't forgive yourself if you didn't try everything possible to avert the catastrophe of no deal. Actually, you haven't tried everything possible, have you? Because you could have voted for Theresa May's deal on 3 separate occasions, and 3 times you voted against it.
I have always said that I would be willing to put aside my very deep reservations about that withdrawal agreement, and I would support it if in return, it went out to the people for a confirmatory ballot.
Yeah, but
that's the essence of the so-called
I
Kyle Wilson amendment, and that's what would have happened.
Right, I understand your condition, but when you say you wouldn't forgive yourself if you tried everything possible, you haven't tried everything possible because you didn't vote for that deal on any of the occasions you were able to.
Because I think it was profoundly undemocratic, and that is why I'm trying to get more democracy at this critical point.
I understand, but therefore, for you to say you have tried everything possible, you haven't.
I think we still have another couple of months. Time is certainly fast running out, but we have a couple of months where it is still possible at this late stage to avoid no deal by going back to the people. That has been my overarching desire and the policy that so many people, actually a majority, the largest number of MPs voted for that in the so-called indicative votes last time around. We had over 290 MPs voting for that. We need to get that over the barrier so that we can then get such an issue of massive importance back to the people so they can have the final say.
Caroline Lucas, Green Party MP.
So the start of that clip is the host telling Caroline she has not done everything to prevent a no-deal Brexit, because she did not vote for the Maybot surrender document, which I'm sorry Victoria, that is probably the only good thing this woman has ever done in her life. Even she calls it undemocratic, which is also a bit rich, but I have to agree with her. It was not a democratic deal, it was designed to make us the vassal state of Europe. Voting for that deal was never a good idea. The fact that it failed is probably the only positive thing to come out of the time Maybot was Prime Minister. But of course, Caroline Pukas contradicts the reason she gave for not voting for that Maybot deal as undemocratic by going back to her usual undemocratic stance to have a second referendum before they've even delivered the first one. Yet another example of the democracy Remoaners believe in. A vote is only democratic when the result is the one you want. She claims the second referendum vote was the biggest vote in Parliament, showing that 290 MPs wanted another public referendum. Forgetting, of course, the biggest vote in Parliament was the 498 MPs who voted to invoke Article 50 and make the legal default a no-deal Brexit. Amazing how you completely forgot about that vote, isn't it? The people had the final say in 2016, the MPs put that vote into force with Article 50 and the legal default to leave on WTO terms. No thanks to Gina Miller, another Remoaner. So maybe they do help us out in certain ways, although they are trying to stop it. There is no way around that at the end of the day. I'm sorry you don't like it, Caroline, but that's just the way it is. This whole stupid idea goes to show how desperate these deranged Remoaners have become. To propose a cabinet that openly breaks the law is ridiculous, so you can then break the law that states we leave on October the 31st. These women all scream for equality, but what they really call for is men to be considered second-class citizens, and if you're a white man then you're a third-class citizen. You should be deselected and banned from running in democratic elections, along with the other undemocratic cumbuckets you want to put in your cabinet, who want to ignore the largest democratic vote ever seen in this country, along with everyone else who does not believe in honouring the vote. Well, I'm going to end the video there, guys. The hypocrisy and stupidity of Caroline Pukas is a testament to the desperation these shitweasels are feeling right now. They are openly being sexist, trying to appeal to the woke wankers in the House of Commons who would vote for an all-woman cabinet to get them some woke brownie points, but it still won't be enough, I'm afraid. Now let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Remember to leave a like, subscribe and share this video as it helps the channel a lot, and I will see you all in the next one.